So the internet is ablaze. The weekend cruise is winning the Oasis Class ship battle, if you will, and who has the most Oasis Class ships assigned to their market. And Royal Caribbean's recent announcement with their 2026 and 27 deployment schedule squarely shows them focusing on the weekend cruise market and putting significant resources behind that, including multiple Oasis Class ships, and the internet is ablaze. Hey everybody, it's Brandon, the Weekend Cruiser, where I go on a weekend cruise just about every weekend, and so I feel like I'm really well qualified to talk about this situation with Royal Caribbean, which I know a lot of people don't like. Now, the reason people don't like this, and I'm going to say that I started out not being a fan of Oasis Class ships either. When they started putting them here on the weekend market, which I've been doing since Empress of the Seas and Enchantment of the Seas were doing weekends back in the day, I started out there, and when they moved into Oasis Class ships, I was just kind of like, I don't know if the Oasis Class ships are going to do well in a weekend cruise. And I even made a video about all the challenges that it's going to face. And then fast forward, like probably a year and a half, maybe longer than that, I said, you know what? Oasis Class ships are growing on me. So I got to sail on the Allure, on the Utopia. I got to do all these weekend cruises on a Oasis Class ship. And I learned why people really like them. Number one, you're going to get coastal kitchen. So people that are in a more senior level, even in a suite, you're going to get a higher food experience. You get the coastal kitchen, which is one of the huge perks. You also get the suite deck. You get all these different things. You get more amazing shows, the Aqua shows. You get Broadway style shows. There's so much more that comes with one of these. Not always the best for a 3-night weekend cruise, but it is going to wow everyone. And we're going to get into that a little bit later. But those are some of the reasons why people are kind of upset, because they love their Oasis Class ships, but they do not love a 3-night weekend cruise or a midweek 4-week cruise, because we're a different animal. We're a party cruise. We're more groups. We're more younger populations. And honestly, if you're flying somewhere, I wouldn't blame you if you didn't want to fly down to Florida just for a weekend cruise. You want to get the best bang for your buck. All right, so what has Royal Caribbean actually announced? What are the ships that are going to be doing weekends in 2026 and 2027? And there are 3 of them. So you've got Miami. We're going to have the Wonder of the Seas, which I'm super excited about. I do like Wonder. It's one of my favorite Oasis Class ships. I think they did a wonderful job with her. In Fort Lauderdale, so Port Everglades, you're going to have Oasis of the Seas. But not only are you going to have Oasis of the Seas, and this one's not gotten a lot of publicity, you're going to have Vision of the Seas out of Port Everglades running the exact same 3-night, 4-night, 3-night itinerary. It's going to go to some different places like Grand Bahamas or Key West, which I'm super interested in. But it is another weekend ship. You have 2 ships in Port Everglades, which is crazy to think about. And then in Port Canaveral, you're going to keep the Utopia. So it's going to be staying for a little bit longer. It is there today. With this, I did some quick math on this. The total capacity that is going to be doing weekends is just insane. The amount of people they're going to be putting on these ships. So you've got Vision's 2,500 max capacity, Utopia's 5,600, you've got Wonder at almost 7,000, and Oasis at 6,800 as well. That is 22,000 capacity, max capacity that they're going to have on the weekends only. So every Friday, they're going to need to come up with about 22,000 people. Not to mention, they're going to need to do this again on Monday for the 4 nights. So when I say they are doubling down, this capacity over the last 3 years, when it used to be Freedom of the Seas and Liberty of the Seas and maybe one other smaller kind of, should I say smaller? They are small, large ships or large, small ships. They're not small, but they're not as big as they have been. There's a lot of capacity they're adding. And so I really hope that they're able to keep up booking these. I'm hopeful it may actually bring prices down a little bit too by having all of these rooms that are going to be available for weekends only. They're going to have to really work to sell all those cabins, and I hope that might work in our favor. So why is Royal Caribbean focusing on the weekend cruise market? There's a few reasons why they are doing this, and honestly, if you step back and go, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. We may not agree with it, but it makes a lot of sense. The first thing, and we learned this when they started replacing Enchantment of the Seas with the Mariner of the Seas. She got amped, and they brought in Mariner of the Seas, a much larger ship at the time, to do weekends because it is a lot of first-time cruise guests, and they wanted to wow them and give them this amazing experience so that they would want to come back. That has continued. So as the ships have gotten larger, as more people want to go on cruises, they are doing a lot of weekends for their very first time. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on. The Royal Caribbean continues to want to wow them in that experience so that they come back, so that they go, wow, this is an amazing experience. This was really a nice thing. I want to do it again. I want to pay for this. And so they will bring them back. So they're putting the best of the best ships here. Maybe a little bit of bait and switch. I mean, if you were to go on an Oasis Class of Lord of the Seas, let's see, out of Miami, then you turn around and you do a Grandeur of the Seas later on, thinking it's going to be a similar experience, you might be in for a wake-up call, but hopefully you've got a good travel agent who is advising you along this way. The next reason that they're doing this, and the easiest way to convey this is, cruise lines don't have emotions. They are not making decisions on how I am a happy cruise customer or how any of us are happy or loyal. They don't care. They don't have emotions. Their only emotion is how can they drive as much revenue, as much net income as they can to the business. Whatever that decision is, as long as it's within the regulations and with the laws, they are going to make decisions based solely on that. And so with that, guess who's making them a ton of money these days? Yours truly, doing all these weekend cruises and all the people that are joining me on weekend cruises. So the net income that they are getting off here, let's talk about the expenses and the incomes for weekend ships. So when you have an Oasis Class ship running these 3 and 4, they're not going very far. So number one, they're just going to the Bahamas. We're talking like 84 miles to get to Nassau. It's not very far. So they were not burning a ton of fuel to get over there. The second part is it's a really new ship, so it is efficient. So even the fuel that is burning, it's not as much as it would be one of the older ships. Same when we're in port. Of course, the generators are still going. I'm still having power right now, but it is an efficient ship, so it does not cost as much to run the ship on general, given the number of people that are here. You're also going to get a lot of economies of scale. And so what I mean by that is you've got 5,000, 6,000 guests on board these ships, and you can buy and negotiate based on that ship. It's also only going to 2 ports, Coco Cay, and it's going to Nassau. So you're not negotiating with multiple different shipping companies. If you need to get something to a different place or a different port, you can refill every 3-4 days in Miami with no problem, or you know that Nassau is going to be your next go-to location. So they get to save a lot of money there. The next thing that they get to do is they get to charge us a lot more money. This is the one that I don't necessarily appreciate because it does cost more to go on a weekend cruise. And the reason I say that is it is going to cost more per night to go on a weekend cruise. So for a 3-night, I'm going to use this as an example. You're looking at paying $200, $250 per night to come on a weekend cruise these days. For a 7-night sailing, you can get those for $100 to $150 per night. Overall, I get that if you go on a longer cruise, it's going to cost more. But if you are going on a short cruise, they're going to charge you a premium for that short cruise experience. So from there, once you get on board though, not only do you spend more per night to be there, you're also going to be spending a lot more money on board the cruise ship itself. So the places you're going to start spending money, you're going to spend more money on packages. So dining packages, Wi-Fi packages, drink packages. You are going to buy all of them because it is only for 3 days. If you have to buy a package for a 7-night cruise, that's a very different conversation than it is, gosh, it's only 3 days. Can I drink 3 days worth? Can I use the internet for 3 days? Sure, I can figure that out. Like, it makes a different decision. It makes it easier for you to spend money. Also, on board the shop, so with all the wonderful shops that they have on Oasis Class ships, you are more pressured to buy something. You cannot, dilly and wait and see if you want to buy it. You have a pressure because you got to get off that ship within 3 days. You will not see anything on the ship after, the third or the second day. I guess if you get on Friday, Saturday, Sunday afternoon, you're either buying it or you're off the ship. Like, you got to make quick decisions, and that means you're probably going to be buying more because you're operating quickly. I will say that on a weekend as well, the casinos are packed on weekend sailings. People are coming here because it is an easy getaway. They want to do their gambling. They want to go on one of their comped cruises. I have a whole video on why I don't gamble anymore because I don't buy into that system. I got over it, but I know a lot of people love it. On weekends, they are packed with people. And so just keep in mind that, when you come here, you're on a weekend cruise. What I find a lot of people doing on weekend cruises in the casino is gambling like it's a 7-night cruise. And it is only a 3-night cruise. They can also keep the casinos open longer on the weekends than you will see on a 7-night that may be port intensive. So another way for them to make money. So with that, I've already mentioned this a few times. The ports that the ships on weekends go to also impacts how much money they can make. You're going to Coco Cay and you are going to Nassau. Those are the two ports you're going to go to. The casino is open the entire day in Coco Cay. So you can play from early in the morning all the way to late at night on that day. The only time that it shuts down is when you leave port or when you're in Port Miami, when you're close to Miami within the 20-mile radius, or when you are in Nassau, it will shut down. And they keep lowering the time, I think. Let me know in the comments if you all have noticed this, that the port times that you're getting these days seem to be shorter and shorter. Today, all aboard was 3:30 in Nassau, which I just think is crazy early. You also want to buy your Wi-Fi and your drink packages because you're in Coco Cay, the private island of Royal Caribbean, where the drink package is going to work and your Wi-Fi package is going to work. So it's going to give you more value to buy the drink package than other cruises might, where if you get off the ship and enjoy the ports, on this one, you might not do that. And even if you do get off in Coco Cay, you're going to be able to use those benefits. And chances are, it's probably a 50-50 draw if you're actually going to get off the ship in Nassau. So you might be on the ship to, again, take advantage of both of these packages. So you're going to buy a lot more of them coming onto the cruise ship. Now, I also feel like there's some cultural changes that are driving these decisions. And so, this is me just looking at it, no education in this, but just kind of reading the room a little bit. But I think a lot of people like weekend cruises because they get a taste of a cruise ship. They are scared of a 7-night. They don't want to be bored. They don't want to get seasick. They don't want to feel claustrophobic. And so a 3-night is a really good way to say, you know what? I'm going to stick my toe in the water. Let's check it out and see how that is going. And so they are scared of that full week and they want to try a short cruise first. I also feel like people are doing shorter vacations these days. So even amongst my friends group, I will go on a 7-night. Even my India and Nepal trip that I just made a video on was 3.5 weeks. I do long trips when I can. I save up all my vacation time and then I go. I feel like there's a lot of people who, this is probably how I got started in doing weekends, wanting to do shorter vacations. So they're wanting to do 4, 5-night vacations. And that way they can take more of them versus taking the full 7-night sailing. This allows them a little bit more flexibility with their vacation time. This may be driven by money decisions, or it could just be driven by the culture that they want to do something a little bit different there. I also feel like there's this rise of doing something on land and then coming to the cruise ship to relax. I'm not sure Oasis Class ships are necessarily relaxing all the time, especially on a weekend, but I get the sense that people are doing one or the other. They're either starting on the cruise ship or starting on land and then switching to the other one to get the best benefits of both worlds. Disney World is a great example of this in Orlando. People go there and then jump on a cruise ship before going back home. I will also say that weekend cruises are great for scheduling, for planning. If you want to bring other people with you, maybe you're doing a group, maybe you're getting married, maybe it's a quinceañera or whatever it may be. It's easier to do a weekend because it's easier to get commitment from everybody. If you're trying to do a 7-night, there's a lot of things that can come up. But if you're saying, look, it is just a weekend, I only need 3 nights, can you make it? It's going to be a lot easier to get people to come with you, especially if you're paying for people in that group. So maybe you are the grandmother, the abuela, and you are bringing your family with you. It's much cheaper to come on a weekend cruise. Even though it's more per night, if you try to bring them on a full 7-night cruise, that's going to cost you a pretty penny to do the 7-night versus the weekend. I also feel like weekend vacation homes have kind of become a thing of the past. Me growing up in Eastern North Carolina, we drive an hour and a half and stay in a camper or a trailer in Emerald Isle, North Carolina. We'd have a weekend and then we'd go back. We'd have our vacation, we'd go back. There was a lot of people, and there still are, that have these second homes near the water or just in the mountains, wherever. And I feel like that's not a thing for people of, let's say, 50s and under, my generation and under. I feel like people aren't doing the vacation home thing as much, but they still want weekends. They still want to be able to get away like I do. They want to see the world. And so this is a way that they can still kind of have their cake and eat it too a little bit. So that is my quick take on why Royal Caribbean is doubling down on its weekends. And we're going to get a ton of Oasis Class ships, whether we like it, we don't like it. It's always to be determined. I personally am kind of becoming a fan of it, which I hate to say, but do check out this video here on why I'm becoming a fan of Oasis and some of the issues that I think they still need to solve for in this video, but it was made quite some time ago. Right, everybody, this is Brandon, the Weekend Cruiser. Hoping to see you on a weekend cruise soon, and make sure if you want to join me on a group cruise, you're signing up at the group cruise newsletter below.